Hello, welcome back to Milkman Channel. Forewarning, there are going to be spoilers about SpongeBob SquarePants, the Cosmic Shake in this video, so add it to your watch later or just let me spoil it for you, your choice, but consider yourself warned. To call SpongeBob SquarePants a titan in children's media would be an understatement. This little yellow square has ruled the land of children's TV for decades, enough so to spawn 3 movies and countless video games. And as a longtime fan of the show and the first of the SpongeBob movies being an all-time great for me, this love of the character and the world of Bikini Bottom naturally stems into video games as well. I got my start in my gaming journey before I was even in first grade, when my parents got my brother and I a PlayStation 2 and a trio of Nickelodeon video games: the Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius game, Fairly Odd Parents, Breaking Da Rules, and SpongeBob SquarePants, Revenge of the Flying Dutchman. So my love of SpongeBob video games has been present from the very start. I've also played and have very fond memories of playing Lights, Camera, Pants, a SpongeBob-based party game, but of course, rather unsurprisingly, my favorite SpongeBob video game has to be Battle for Bikini Bottom. Being able to play as SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy as you fight off robots while exploring some of the show's most iconic locations will always live rent-free in my head. And the game was made even better when they released the rehydrated version, a 2020 remaster of the 2003 classic. All that to say, I have a soft spot for SpongeBob video games. One of my favorite things about them is seeing how Bikini Bottom gets recreated in 3D spaces, along with many other famous locations from the IP. So when I found out there was a spiritual successor to Battle for Bikini Bottom coming out in the form of SpongeBob SquarePants, the Cosmic Shake, I was very excited. I would once again be able to dive deep into the ocean blue and help SpongeBob and his friends save Bikini Bottom. However, this game was not all I was hoping it was. I wouldn't call it a bad game, but just disappointing. Where I felt Battle for Bikini Bottom was built and crafted by a team of people who care about the IP and doing it justice, this one felt more like a rush job, and at times, a cash grab, as Purple Lamp rides the wave of the 2020 release of Rehydrated. So let's dive into more details and discuss SpongeBob SquarePants, the Cosmic Shake. SpongeBob SquarePants, the Cosmic Shake was developed by Purple Lamp, the same company who did Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, and published by THQ Nordic. It was released on a variety of dates for a variety of platforms. Those platforms are PC, Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series consoles, as well as iOS and Android, which I find very interesting. I had no clue it was even on those platforms. I played the PC version, which is where all footage you are seeing was captured from. I also played a good chunk of this on my Lenovo Legion Go with all the settings on medium, and it ran absolutely swimmingly. Probably the smoothest playing game on the Lenovo I've experienced. In the Cosmic Shake, you play as the titular yellow sponge, with the game starting off as he gets ready to travel to Glove World with his best friend Patrick. While at Glove World, the duo encounter Madame Cassandra, a traveling mermaid saleswoman who sells SpongeBob and Patrick some bubble soap that grants their every wish. Once the two return to Bikini Bottom, they go overboard with the bubbles and wishing, ripping holes in the universe and destroying the city. SpongeBob decides to right his wrongs and return Bikini Bottom back to normal, while also rescuing his friends from other dimensions. One of the very first things I noticed were the reused tikis and spin attacks from Rehydrated. To me, this immediately put a bad taste in my mouth. In Rehydrated, tikis act as the main way to get currency in the form of shiny objects. There are 5 different tikis: wood, stone, thunder, aka the explosive ones, floating, and tikis, where you have to quietly approach them to break. Your main means of breaking tikis are the spin attack with your bubble wand. In the Cosmic Shake, tikis act as the main way to get currency in the form of cosmic jelly. There are 4 types of tikis: wood, stone, thunder, and floating. And your main way of breaking tikis is using your spin attack with your bubble wand. See why I got a bit of a sour taste immediately? I didn't expect them to reinvent the wheel or anything, but for me to immediately see 2 of the exact same things was not great. Not to mention that they didn't even use all the same tikis and just omitted one without replacing it. And I feel the same way about the reuse of Prawn, an enemy of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. He makes his debut in the SpongeBob universe in Battle for Bikini Bottom. However, you fight him again in Cosmic Shake. I think it would have been a lot cooler and more unique if you fought a different villain of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, like Man Ray or the Dirty Bubble, or even a whole new enemy. But when I found out Prawn was in Cosmic Shake, the words asset flipped popped into my mind, furthering my feeling that this game didn't get the same love and attention as others. What was not a simple reuse were the locations. Although 5 of the 7 locations in Cosmic Shake were used and rehydrated, they are done with a twist due to the nature of the game and it being new dimensions. So instead of normal jellyfish fields, there was Wild West jellyfish fields. Instead of normal downtown, there was Karate movie set downtown. These 2 locations and Goo Lagoon were even featured in Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, but each game does a good job of each one feeling unique from one version to the other and making it feel like somewhere new every time. Cosmic Shake in particular puts a fun spin on things given the new themes of each place. And in order to get to these locations, you get new outfits from Madame Cassandra, which I have no issue with, but however, I wish these costumes were more than just cosmetic. I personally think it would have been cool if each costume granted SpongeBob a unique ability that relates to it somehow. With the cowboy outfit, you could get a lasso. With the pirate outfit, you get access to a bubble cannon or something. These are just ideas. Instead, the outfits do nothing beyond looks. You don't even have to wear the costumes in the area, or even the first playthrough of the area. Once you get the costume, you can immediately take it off and go back to what you had on before, as long as you are okay with the cutscenes having SpongeBob in whatever costume it expects him to be in. This really makes a key part of the game very unimportant if you ask me. However, it is a good thing these costumes are often rather cool. There are 2 distinct sets of costumes, those you get by playing the campaign and those you purchase with Cosmic Jelly. And many of the costumes act as callbacks to SpongeBob history. You can get SpongeBob's ghost costume from the classic episode Scaredy Pants, his rock and roll wizard outfit from the 2004 movie, and even an army helmet to pay tribute to the cover of the 2003 original Battle for Bikini Bottom. As someone who was a fan of the show for so long, it was really cool to see such a catalog of iconic looks for the yellow square. But what is SpongeBob without his friend Patrick? Well, in this game, SpongeBob is quite a bit. In Battle for Bikini Bottom, you play as SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy. In Cosmic Shake, you only play as SpongeBob, and that's fine. I have no issues with that. Since he is not a playable character, Patrick gets turned into a small balloon through reasons explained in the game that I won't go into here, and he kind of becomes Clank to SpongeBob's Ratchet, except a lot less useful, both for gameplay and plot purposes. Gameplay-wise, Patrick serves really one purpose, and that is to bring SpongeBob some more underwear, aka health, this too being ripped from Battle for Bikini Bottom, FYI, when you are running low. He also hoists SpongeBob out of deep chasms or water, with quotes around water for obvious reasons. I think goo is the technical term, but for simplicity's sake, we'll just say water. But this is just a simple little animation and could be removed entirely, and the game would be the exact same. In fact, this is how I feel about Patrick as a whole with this game. I found him to be 99.9% of the time pointless, with the only purpose he serves is the previously mentioned underwear wrangling. Even plot-wise, he serves almost no purpose to the game until you have to travel to the final area, which it pains me to say because he is one of my favorite characters in the SpongeBob universe, and to see him reduced to such a pointless role in this game hurt to see. The only thing more disappointing than Patrick's role was the final boss. Spoiler alert, Madame Cassandra ends up being the main villain of the game, which they make very clear that is going to happen, and most people above a certain age will be able to pick up on that. Not a bad thing, as I acknowledge this is a kid's game, but during the final boss fight, she just grabs Squidward and transforms him into a giant rage monster. I feel like this choice is rather disappointing. In Battle for Bikini Bottom, the final boss is a giant SpongeBob robot, which makes a lot of sense to me. In that game, as I said before, the 3 playable characters are Sandy, Patrick, and SpongeBob. Throughout the game, you fight a giant robot versions of Sandy and Patrick in boss fights, capping the game off with the robot SpongeBob as the final boss. In Cosmic Shake, Squidward ends up in the final fight by almost pure coincidence, as Cassandra just decides to pick him as her henchman. I would have liked to see a final boss fight with enemies who have a bit more purpose in this game. Lastly, I want to discuss my time getting 100% completion in SpongeBob SquarePants Cosmic Shake. I did the same thing in Rehydrated, so I wanted to give this game the same treatment. There are 44 achievements to get in Cosmic Shake that you can easily track using the in-game awards menu. The tasks for completing these awards range from just simply finishing levels, to breaking things, to collecting items. I also did not hesitate to utilize the internet in my quest to 100% this game, as I watched videos for absolutely everything I didn't get on my first playthrough of the levels. Doing so allowed me to wrap up my time with this game quite quickly, with me putting the game down for the last time around the 12-hour mark. And that is including getting 2 pairs of golden underwear that increase SpongeBob max health, that are not needed for the game's definition of 100%, but they were required for my definition of it. I have 2 critiques about the completion process. One is that I wish there was a quick restart section in the boss fights. For each level, there is a level-ending boss, and for each level-ending boss, there is an award to unlock that involves doing some extra tasks during the fight. For example, in the boss fight against Sandy in the karate movie stage, you get an award for beating her without taking damage. When going for this, I took damage in my first attempt, so I decided just to start the boss over for obvious purposes. However, there is no restart button, so I had to fast travel to a different area and then fast travel back to the fight to start it over. Given how many bosses are in this game and how there's an award tied to each level-ending area, I would have liked to see a restart button to make this a little easier. Secondly, is the award you get for 100% completion. Your reward for getting 100% is simply just one more costume where a plush Gary doll sits on SpongeBob's head. After just 100% completing the game, I feel like a costume to wear while I continue to play the game I just finished doing absolutely everything there is to do is the shitty reward. I personally think the best reward for 100%ing games is some behind the scenes stuff or something that doesn't really relate to playing the game more. Because, well, you're likely going to be done playing it at that point. In fact, this is one of my few gripes with Rehydrated, as both that game and Cosmic Shake are just not worth getting 100% completion. Play through it, finish the story, and then if you never touch the game again, you wouldn't be missing out on anything at all. To close things out here, I know I spent a lot of time comparing Cosmic Shake to Battle for Bikini Bottom, but that's because Battle for Bikini Bottom is the quintessential SpongeBob game in my opinion. I was not expecting lightning to strike twice by any means, and I was not expecting to like this game as much as Battle for Bikini Bottom. I know I kinda shredded this game, but make no mistake, Cosmic Shake is not a bad game. I still had fun playing it and exploring the areas I had access to, but would have liked to see a little more variation in gameplay or core mechanics. I do recommend that you check out Cosmic Shake, as you will still have fun, but personally, as someone who loves Battle for Bikini Bottom, I only liked SpongeBob SquarePants The Cosmic Shake.
She's pretty.
Pardon me, miss. Why so glum?
Because I totally lost my joy, and without it I can't.
Cosmic Shake is truly one of the most okay games I've ever played, but that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Not every game can be a winner. Anyways, thanks you guys so much for hanging out with me and humoring my thoughts and feelings on a kids game that I'm probably too old to play. If you like this video, tell YouTube that and hit that thumbs up button. It goes a long way for me. Next up, I'm going to tackle Psychonauts 2. I played through the original 4 or 5 times back in the day, so I need to get the sequel taken care of. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that. In the meantime, thanks in advance for turning on the post notifications so you don't miss any future video game or food videos. I appreciate it. And of course, let's talk SpongeBob in the comments, whether it be about the show, the games, the movies, anything SpongeBob, let's talk about it. And if you don't know what to say in the comments, just bark like a dog for me. Thanks again for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.